kicking butt, and other people look at a pack of cigarettes and they can't sing for 2 months, Right. And so it's important to understand that not all bodies are created equal, not all brains are created equal, and to know what works for you. And like, even when you were prescribing, different types of foods and stuff, you also need to know what works for you, whether it's for your lifestyle, whether you're on the road, or you live on a farm, you have to find what makes you feel good and do. Okay, check this out. We can end the podcast right here. Find out what makes you feel good and do more of that, and figure out what doesn't make you feel good and stop doing that. How's that sound? End of show. Ready?
That is perfect. Yeah, this sounds like my advice with marketing. It's like, pay attention to what you're doing. Do more of what works. Do less of what doesn't work.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, and that's so in a nutshell. There you go. Now, for me, there are some people that are like never sick, and when they do get sick, they kind of crash and burn on it because they don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then there's people that are kind of dealing with little things all the time. I fall into that category, and I find that for me, what I just try to do is I try to use the work as a motivation to get out of bed and to work my way through things, kind of like in sports. Like I'm a real football fanatic, and, a guy gets, a strain, a sprain, even a fracture, whatever. And then, they take care of it, but then they still go out and do the work and play through it, So I think it's important to, unless you want to cancel gigs or cancel recording session stuff, I think it's important to learn how to play through certain things. Also, there's an incredible singer, now I can't think of his name. He won American Idol a few years ago. Now he's on, Adam Lambert. He's on tour with Queen right now. Mm-hmm. Queen saw him, they hired him to replace Freddie Mercury, which was best idea they've ever had.
Wow.
And he said that, he was on Broadway for a long time. When you're on Broadway, you can't cancel. So he learned different ways that, when you have sore throats, laryngitis, fevers, whatever, there's different ways to get through it and still do the show. And he learned those techniques. You know what I mean? So I think it's important, again, to find out what works for you and figure out how to motivate yourself even when you're not in the perfect situation. Because quite frankly, if you're always waiting for the perfect situation, you're always going to be waiting anyway. You're not going to get anything done.
Correct.
So those are my thoughts. I don't know if that's exactly what Rowen wants to know, but the best way to keep moving forward is to keep moving forward. And the best way to be motivated to survive is to find out what motivates you and how to survive. All the other stuff you're talking about is wonderful. I think we should all do it. I totally agree with you, but it's not always convenient to be that, get to that spot,
Right. Well, it all depends. But you can, I would not encourage anyone to, but yeah, I think people can form new habits that instead of always running late and going to the drive-through, that you just, schedule a time to go to the store, and not only you're eating more healthy, but you're also saving money.
Oh, absolutely.
Not having to eat out so much. And so you're eating better food, you're spending less money, but it does take a little planning ahead of time so that you're not caught off with a lot of last minute, I'll just grab this bag of something or this box of something.
Right. Yeah. And even if you do find yourself in a situation where you're traveling with a tight schedule, you're on tour, whatever, you can still eat food from a window and eat better food from a window than just being brainless and getting, the mega triple bypass burger.
Exactly. So we've kind of shifted from the health thing, and you got more into the activity thing, which is, I want to, just a couple of points I want to address there. And I know you in particular, you juggle so many different things, and no one would ever accuse you of being a slacker, Billy. So I'm interested in getting your thoughts on this. But when it comes to multiple activities, one way to look at your activities is there's like two different things, typically the way people handle things that they have to do. One are like calendar or appointment-based things. Like when you have a gig, that's probably an obvious one, or a recording studio session. There's usually a date and a time, so you have to be there at specific, and so it's usually on your calendar. The same thing goes for if you work in a day job or a part-time job, or you got to pick your kids up from the school or take them to soccer practice or whatever, it goes for doctor's appointments. These are like appointment-based, calendar-based things. They're usually actually added to a calendar so that you don't forget them, and they tend to be high priorities. Meeting a friend for lunch. If you agree to meet at a certain place at a certain time, you know what you're supposed to do. Then there's all these other things that you're supposed to do that do not get put on the calendar. And I think those are the things like, update the website or write a new bio, or like right now I'm in the throes of trying to get artwork together for a new album that my girlfriend Pookie and I are releasing this month. And it's just, and all this stuff is jumbling my head. We still got to get this, but anyway, there's all these things, and those tend to get cluttered in your head, as you had mentioned, and they also don't get prioritized. They're not on the calendar. So what I would recommend is all the things that are truly important to you, to add them to the calendar, to carve out time around the other appointment-based things that you've already got going on in your week, and give them the same weight that you give to showing up for the gig, picking up the kids from school, etc. Does that make sense?
I was getting ready to jump in and make that point already. I mean, that's something that you and I, it never ceases to amaze me, all of the things that you and I do that are the same, and we've never talked about them. Because that is exactly what I do. If it needs to be done, it needs to go on the calendar, even if it's a task. You know what I mean? And what I do, typically, is I have a master list that I switched from paper to electric, and to be brutally honest with you, I'm not real happy with it. For about a year, I've been struggling with keeping things on electronic as a master list. I think I like paper better for master lists, but
we're old school.
Yeah, I'm still trying though. I mean, I went out and I just bought some legal pads, and I'm threatening to go back to a legal pad. But anyway, I digress. As always, I digress again. I keep digressing.
It's okay. So you do this though.
All right. But anyway, so I make a list of the master list, right? Like all the things that I need to do. And then what I do is I pick one that has to get done and two things that I should get done. And then when I block time on my calendar to work, I block it off with the main task and the two subtasks. And then I cross them off my master list, and I get them done that day. If for some reason I don't finish, then it just jumps over to the next day's time allotted for tasks. But it goes on the calendar. I don't like having a separate to-do list from a calendar. However, I do like having a master list where I have everything, but I only look at that once a day to decide what I'm going to do the next day. Does that make sense?
Right, because you don't want to be overwhelmed with the bulk, this immensity of everything that needs to be done. You ideally should be focused on what needs to be done that day. And then as you're engaged in each task, you really should be 100% focused on that thing and not be weighed down by all the other stuff that's not getting done.
And the other thing is, if you've never heard of the word triage, you got to do that. There's basically what triage was a way, I think it started in like the First World War or something in France, where when people would come in wounded, there was three types of wounds. There was people that were going to die no matter what you did. There were people that were not going to die no matter what you did, and the people that would only survive if you took action. And when the people would come into the MASH unit, or whatever they called it back then, they would sort them by those three categories. The people that were going to die no matter what, well, there was no point in wasting resources. It sounds horrible, but you make them comfortable and you give them a priest or whatever you need to do. And the people that were going to survive, then you just made them comfortable and said, you're going to be fine. You might not have a toe, but you're going to be fine. And then you got the last person that if you didn't get in there and fix them, they were going to die. And that's where you would spend all your energy first. So, when you look at your list, you got to find that thing. You got to ask yourself a question every day. This is by the way, this is the secret to everything I do, is I say this: what is the worst thing that will happen if I don't do this? Mm-hmm. And if the world falls apart or I lose a gig or whatever happens, then I have to consider doing it. But what's the worst thing that'll happen if I don't do this today, or if I never do it? And if I have something that made it onto my list, and if I can just basically ignore it, it'll go away, and there's no real damage done to anyone, then that goes away. You know what I mean? Because you're always adding stuff to your list, but do you really need everything on your list is my question.
Right, and quite often, yeah, not everything needs to be on there. Great stuff here. I would a couple more points in addition to So Stephen Covey has this four quadrants thing where it's like important, unimportant, urgent, not urgent. So we tend to focus on the stuff that's urgent. Sometimes that urgent stuff is important, sometimes it's not important, but quite often there are things that are important but not urgent, and that would be things like taking care of your health and all that stuff. So there's no urgency to do it now, but it's really important long term, and those tend to get shoved off because there's a fire that needs to be put out, And so along those lines of thinking, I would actually also add to your calendar play and rest, because I think those are really important, And so you need to carve out time for a nap. You need to carve out time in your calendar to get to bed early because you've been up 3 nights in a row, And also those things that feed your soul and getting together with friends and things that will relax you and help you enjoy life more. Put those on the calendar too, because otherwise they'll be shoved off to the side.
That's just crazy talk, Bob.
I know. Sound like a philosopher.
That's just ridiculous. Pay no attention to the man behind the microphone over there.
Actually, I'm wearing a guru robe right now as we speak. I'm not in my underwear. I'm in my robe.
I'm in my underwear. They're cute underwear, though.
But yeah, so I think that's important. One more thing, if I may.
You go ahead, Bob.
No more comments on my robe.
You're just all excited because people call you Bob.
Bob. Hello, Billy and Bob. Let me play that again real quick.
We love you, Rowen, so much. By the way, I do want to say something about Rowen. You got to go to it's rowenmusic.com, right? I believe rowenmusic.com. She's freaking awesome, and you know what? Everybody that listens to this show, I mean, I know that we're hoping that maybe you might, consider using Bob's service, and buy his books and stuff, or maybe you'll ask me to do something and everything. But, today I really just want everybody to go see Rowen and buy a track or send her something cool, because this is one of those cases where I don't understand why she's not super popular, and she's awesome. Okay. So I just want to say that. There you go. Done. Rowen Music.
Right now in the UK.
Oh, sorry. I was going to play the Bob part again. So.
Go ahead, do it.
Billy and Bob. How are you doing, guys?
Can you hear that?
Oh, I can hear it. It's fine, Bob. Anyway,
one more thing. There's this thing called have you ever heard of the Pomodoro method by any chance? Does that ring a bell?
Dude, you've got a new one on me. What is it?
Really?
Yeah.
So the Pomodoro method is basically, I can't remember where it's somehow related to the guy, I think, that helped create the 80-20 rule or something, but it's basically where you set, and I first heard about this with workouts. There's like a type of workout where you like put all your energy into it for so many minutes, and then you relax, and then you kind of ease up, and then you pour it all in instead of like doing like one sort of mid-level thing for the entire time of your workout. You push, rest. It's kind of like the way, I guess you do weights and all that stuff, which I haven't done much in my life. But the Pomodoro method is kind of the same thing, where you can they actually have timers that are online or you can buy or whatever, where you basically would focus like for 50 minutes on you have like blocks of time throughout your day. And some people do it like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. There's like 50 minutes and then 10-minute breaks, whatever. I guess you could do it again, make this, customize this for your own work ethic. But you pick a 50-minute block of time, let's just say, or an hour. The first 50 minutes, you focus nothing on but one task. You put all your energy into it. You work, and then the timer goes off, and you get away from it. You get up, you walk around, you relax for 10 minutes before you go back in. And so that's another way that when I do this, I admit that I'm more effective, where you're all in, work, and then take a break, however long that is, as opposed to working nonstop for 8 hours straight and then being exhausted and not even doing very good work because you're not refreshed, So that's what the Pomodoro method is.
That's incredible. And I'd like to add to that I don't know if there's some crazy term for this, but typically speaking, however much time you allot yourself to do something is how much time it will take.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if you have a week to do a job, that's how long it's going to take. You'll make sure that it takes a week. Whereas if you only have 3 days to do it,